Hey everyone, John here, and today we are going to finish Starcatcher. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded, and I apologize for that. But here I am, and we are going to finish Starcatcher. So yeah. So the first thing we're going to do is come to the dashboard and come to scenes, and we are going to make a main menu. So I'm just going to make a new scene, call it main menu. Background color could be solid black. That's fine. Create. And we will, yep, that's good. And we're actually going to use a background, so add a new background layer and use a background. And then make sure to hit the down arrow so it's on the bottom of the hierarchy here, otherwise we won't be able to use our layer 0. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the events. First we're going to add we'll add a drawing. So basics when drawing, or not when updating, my bad, when drawing, there we go. Alright, so, and then we can just rename this to draw menu. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is come to drawing here, and we're going to go to styles and set the current font to our font that we've been using, default. And then we are going to come to drawing, the drawing tab in drawing, and draw text, Starcatcher, just the game's title, and that will be, let's see, we're gonna have to do some math for this, so it's going to be, so we could put a minus in there in advance, so it's going to be the width, screen width, divided by 2, so that's half the screen width, minus dividing in here, half of the text. So you put in the same text like you did before, like that. That's the same, so perfect. So that will center it perfectly. And then for the Y, we'll just do something like 5. That's near the top of the screen with a little bit of padding. And then, yeah, after that, we'll just come down here and let's see, we can duplicate this, throw out the top block, and just use this bottom one. And just say press space to play. So again, at the middle, this time though, we're gonna have to use that. So I just highlighted it, Control C, come in here, highlight everything, Control V to replace it. And the Y will bring it down to, let's see, height. There we go. So we're just going to do half the screen height. So screen height divided by 2, that'll be roughly the center. Alright, so just real quick, let's go to the dashboard and hit our main menu scene and hit mark as starting scene and test it real quick. Just to see that the text placement is right and everything, and that we don't have to change anything, and then we can implement the actual hitting spacebar to play the game. So it's compiling, it should be done any second now. Alright, there we go. So yep, I'd say that is good. So make sure my window is the right size here. Yep, I would say that is good to go. So we can now come back to our menu and add a new event. So we're going to add an updating, and we're going to call this space bar listener. So all we're going to do in here is going to say if, we'll go to user input, control is down, so if, let's see, I don't remember if I set space to anything, so I'm opening up settings here, coming down to my controls, and just seeing, nope, I did not set space, so I'm going to click here to add a new control, space, nope, not, space, there we go, and then click here to select this and hit the space bar, and then hit OK, that's good. So now, if control space was pressed, then we will search switch. There we go. So we're just going to switch to our level and crossfade for 1 second, sure. Alright, let's try that. Should work. And then that'll be our main menu done. Alright, so I'm here. I'm going to hit the spacebar. Perfect. Alright. That is good to go. The next thing that we're going to do is we can close out of our menu here. In the level, so if you don't have your level, you can just come to Dashboard, Scenes, and double click on your level. It'll take a second to open up. Alright, so now what we are going to do is, right now, the game is fun at the start, but it sort of gets boring over time. So we are going to implement what game designers call dynamic difficulty. So essentially, the game will get harder as you go on. So that way it gets more challenging to play the game, and the game gets more interesting. And at the same time, it makes it so that only people with more skill can play the game longer. Alright, so right now we have this time. This time system's good. But right now, so we're doing a random integer between 3 and 7. So it's always going to be between 3 and 7 seconds. So, I mean, that's fine, but that means it's going to be roughly the same every time. So what we can do is we can make a dynamic variable here. So a variable that we're going to change over time. So let's go to our game attributes and create a new game attribute. And we are going to call this time random. It's going to be a number, and the initial value is going to be 5, because we're going to add 2 and subtract 2. Alright, now we have our time random. If you don't, just hit Control R to reload everything. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to my game attributes here, and I have this time random. So by default, it's 5. So now what I'm going to do is it's going to be a random integer between, so I'm going to come into math here, and the first thing that I'm going to do is, let's see if I can find it. Okay, yeah, so, alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into here and do math, and the first thing I'm going to do is grab this block, smaller of blank and blank. I'm actually going to do larger of blank and blank. So in the first box is going to be time random minus 2, and the second box is going to be 1. Alright, so that means that it can be anywhere between 1 and 7, really. So now I'm going to do, I don't need to do it for the second one, I'm just going to do, actually, yeah, I will do it. So just hold down Shift, oops, not Shift, hold down Alt, and grab that again. Oh, not this one. What I want is this. And then I'm just going to take this part out. So it's going to be time random plus 2 and 1 again, because if it's 0, it can't be anything 0 or below, otherwise it's going to break the game. So we want it to be the larger of whatever time random and 2 is and 1. So if time random is 5, then this value is 7, and that's fine. We don't need this. But if time random is like -5 and then plus 2 is -3, then we don't want it to be a negative number. We don't want it to be below 0, so it's going to automatically set it to 1 instead. Alright, so that will be that good. That'll be that good and done. But time random's not going to go anywhere. So let's make a new every n seconds and rename this difficulty. There we go. So we'll say every 10 seconds. That's a good number. So every 10 seconds we will go to setters. Every 10 seconds we will set time random to a random integer between, let's see, getters. Okay, so random integer between time random minus 2 and time random. So it's not always going to get harder, but sometimes it'll get a lot harder. So that's Good to spice it up a little bit, keep everything a little bit different. Alright, so that's the spawn speed code done. Now what we're also going to do is, if you remember, if we go to our meteor, sorry, not the player. If we go to our meteor, and we go into its events, and it's, I don't think we ever used this speed variable that I have here. I thought we did. Speed. Okay, so speed. So speed's base value is 20. So, actually that might be our player's speed value. Okay, so the player's speed value is speed. So what we're actually going to do is make a new speed value. It's going to be a game attribute. So this is going to be called fall speed. And the default will be, let's just say 25. Okay, so we're going to, for the fall in our meteor, we're actually going to Control R to refresh it. It doesn't show up. We're actually going to set it to fall speed. The fall speed is 25, so it's the same right now. And for our star, we want our star to fall a little bit slower. So what we're going to do is get it divided here, and we are going to do fall speed divided by 2. And that's about right. All right, so, and now we have that. All of our stars and meteors will behave by the speed variable. So now what we can do is the same like we did here. Just grab this out and go to setters here and do our fall speed. Set fall speed to a random integer between. All right, so what we want to do is, like we did with the other things, we want to make sure that we do, actually, you know what? This one will be fine because we're not going down. So it's going to be a random integer between our fall speed and fall speed plus 5. That's a good, well, let's do 2. 4, no, 3. Okay, that'll probably be about good. So now the game will get increasingly more difficult every 10 seconds or so. Yeah, so let's test that, and I think that should be good. Alright, press space to play. That works. Alright, so it's been 10 seconds, and now the stars and meteors are falling significantly faster, so that's good. It's been another 10 seconds, and it's still going a little bit faster, not as much this time. But that's okay, because we don't want it to get too hard too quickly. And they're spawning a bit faster. So, yeah, I would say that's pretty good. Good and good. Alright, so I think that'll be it for today's video. A little bit of a shorter one, but that's okay, because we were almost done with this tutorial. And I will hopefully start making a few more tutorials. Alright. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.